We've done our office, Grace Meng, our representative in Washington, who has so graciously expressed her desire to be together with the Jewish community all these years. And we want to, we're very thankful that we're able to do it. We're glad that all of you could attend. And we just wanted to be able to acknowledge everybody here for all their hard work and their efforts on behalf of the Jewish community. I just wanted to give a quick thought about Chanukah that comes up towards the end of the week, which is on Thursday evening, the first candle lighting, Friday morning. And that is that we're living during very perilous times. And certainly what's going on in Israel has struck to the very heart of our people, the Jewish nation, how we're under attack, and obviously not just there, but here and all around the world. Anti-Semitism is running rampant. And I'm not here to talk about the negative, but rather the positive. And the point being that Chanukah, just as the Hasmonean, the great, the people from the priestly sect, that they stood up to fight the Syrian Greeks and for 3 years waged a war to cleanse the influences of Greek society, that they came back to establish in the temple the lighting of the menorah. And they found a small cruse, a small jar of oil, and that oil miraculously burned for 8 days, and hence the miracle of Chanukah. And Chanukah comes out during the winter, and the winter, the days are short, the nights are long, and there's the darkness pervading. And Chanukah is really the story of both light and hope. And that's why we're here today. We're going to talk about light and hope, that light will protect us and pervade from the darkness surrounding. And we're going to have hope that by being together and coming together as a team, as an effort among all of our society and our community, we're going to work together to bring people to shine the light of Israel and the community upon the world. And obviously our Congresswoman has a lot to do with this, that she has been a steadfast supporter of Israel, of our community, and it's been a very difficult time in Washington, to say the least. And she's been very consistent with who she is and who she represents. And we need friends in Washington like Congresswoman Grace Meng. So we're happy to do this, and we're happy to be together, and we can all pray that this year that we're going to see a lot of greatness come from our people throughout the world, and especially in Israel, for what we're going through. I'd like to get started here. I'm calling upon our host, Mr. Chanukah, who is the proprietor and owner of this great facility, to say a few words.
Thank you very much, Howard. Actually, I have to thank Congresswoman Grace Meng, because this is her party, not my party. But one of the things that we've learned in the last 60-odd days is the achdus, the togetherness of the people who understood what happened and are together to defeat evil, and hopefully we will see it soon in our days. I want to acknowledge Esther Friedman, my partner here. Thank you very much for what you do. But I also want to acknowledge all of the friends, the elected officials, the non-elected officials, the rabbis, the people that came together because they know that Grace Meng is one of our major supporters, but more than our supporters, she's an activist. She was the first to go against the Iranian deal with the Obamacare, Obama with Iran. And since then, she's been on the forefront of protecting our community, our neighbors, our friends from bad things. I want to just say thank you to Grace. I think this is the third or fourth year we're hosting this, so this will become an annual tradition. I want to thank Rabbi Pollack for making sure we had a lot of kosher food and the guest list. And I want to thank all of you for coming and wish you a peaceful and happy Chanukah. Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to call upon a few people before we get to Grace. Right now, we want to call upon our Queens DA, Melinda Counts.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Did you just announce me? I apologize.
That's okay.
I am sorry I had to step out. I know this is a celebration for Hanukkah, and I want to wish everyone a happy Hanukkah, and I want to thank our Congresswoman for being a never-ending fighter for the state of Israel and for really equality on all sides. But it's okay to be fair and equitable and still be for Israel. And I think that is a great quality that she brings every single day to the office that she holds. I do want to apologize. I was outside getting a briefing. You might have heard this morning in Far Rockaway, there were 5 people stabbed. 4 are dead. One is fighting for her life. 2 of them were kids. And the suspect was shot and killed after stabbing 2 police officers. Yeah. So it's been quite a morning in my world and in the world of Queens County and in the city of New York. So excuse me for that. It does bring in the realities of what I do as the district attorney. But I will only just say this, because I know there's a lot of people who are talking, and this is really a Hanukkah celebration. I am so thankful for all of you in this room. I'm so thankful that when things happen in Israel, and we need people to stand up and fight, that we have people like Congresswoman Meng, like Rabbi Pollack, like Rabbi Miller who's with us, like Shimmy Pellman who's with us, like all of you, like Rabbi Heck that is with us, and of course the head of our VOD, Rabbi Schwartz. It is, if I start naming rabbis, I'm in big trouble. I can only say this as the DA. We are a county of 190 countries and 200 languages. We can stand for Israel, as you know I do, believe in Israel, believe in the fact that it has a right to exist, and more than that, has a right to thrive and protect its people, while still having fair and equitable prosecution here in the borough of Queens County for any hate crime. Anyone who would target someone for who they are, their ethnic background, their religion, who they love, all of the protected classes, and we have that here in Queens County. And I'm grateful to all of you for standing up and fighting every single day. It is the time of miracles, so let's have the miracle of peace in the next year to come. Happy Hanukkah, everybody.
We have a very special guest who came all the way from Manhattan, across the bridge, to join us today in Queens. I want to call upon a good friend, our borough president.
Mark Levine. There we go. It's like John Smith in this town. Thank you, Rabbi Pollack. I don't get out of Manhattan much, but I will go anywhere in the world for Congress Member Grace Meng. Oh my God. I mean, is the weather always this bad in Queens? I don't know. It's been a very difficult 58 days for all of us, for this community, for anyone who has ties to Israel. Again, this morning we woke up knowing that 137 members of our extended family are being held in captivity. So yes, it's another tough day. And there's not a lot of good news out of these last 58 days, but one of the great lights of this time has been a Congress member who is not Jewish and didn't have to stand with Israel, didn't have to stand with our community. In fact, it would be a lot easier not to. But Congress Member Grace Meng has been there for us every single one of these 58 days. And she has taken hits for it. I know you know this, that the haters are out in full force right now. And it is incumbent on us to say thank you, Grace Meng, for being there for us. Thank you. I'm going to events in the Jewish community a lot of late, more than usual. Second one this morning. And I can report to you that our community is showing up in a way that I have never seen before. And it is liberal and conservative, devoutly religious and secular. People across the spectrum are coming out and coming together. And it feels good to know that we're not alone in this, to know that we are united and that we have allies like Grace Meng. And I am very, very confident that we will come through this together, that we will overcome this difficult time together, that we will win this together. And this is our moment to say so loudly and proudly as Jewish New Yorkers and allies. So, Chag Sameach, everybody. Am Yisrael Chai. Todah.
Okay, moving along, we have a very special guest from the Israeli consulate, the Consul General of Israel. His name is Mr. Yuval Donio-Gideon. He is the Consul for Public Diplomacy, and we're very happy that you were able to come today, and we'd like to call you up to speak on behalf of the state of Israel.
Thank you, Rabbi. First of all, Congresswoman Grace Meng, thank you very much for this tradition, for holding this event. Rabbi Pollack, Sashimi Berman, Manhattan Borough President, Queens Borough President, distinguished friends, council members. This is not for granted for us to be here today and to celebrate. Definitely not for me. These are very complicated and uneasy days for us. But Hanukkah is the holiday of light, and I think it was never that sharp contrast between light and darkness. It was never so obvious whose righteousness and whose evil. And by coming here today and focusing on celebrating on what's good, we show that not only will we win over terror, but our spirit is stronger. And we will prevail because our spirit is stronger, because we're confident in the righteousness of our way. So I'll keep it short. I'll just say, Congresswoman Meng, your friendship throughout the years, your leadership is deeply appreciated in Israel, and I'm sure so in the Jewish community. Thank you very much, everyone, and Chag Sameach.
Thank you. All right, at this time, we're going to call upon our Congresswoman Grace Meng. She's been a very, very busy person, to say the least, running back and forth between here and Washington and getting through all the important legislation that is necessary for the state of Israel and to help fight against anti-Semitism. At this point, I'm going to call upon our Congresswoman to address us. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Let's give Rabbi Pollack a round of applause. And I want to say a special thank you, of course, to Shimmy, to Mrs. Friedman, to my staff who are all over the building working today's event and preparing for us to be able to gather here today. You know, we've been doing this event for a few years, and I remember one of the first years, Mrs. Pellman, Dr. Pellman comes in and she says, "You have no decorations." And so literally went out and bought decorations, and now somehow on top of Shimmy's many, many duties, that is something that he helps contribute. So thank you to the Pellman family for always being so generous and hospitable. The first year that we did this, we also forgot to order the locks. And so we made sure that that would never happen again. So we really have come a long way in the last few years. But I'm so grateful to all of you, to my colleagues in government who could be anywhere else on this weekend, on this rainy day, in Manhattan. I think the weather is worse in Manhattan.
It actually is. It actually is.
Thank you for being here. It really means a lot to me, to our team, and to our whole community that you would all take the time to be here with all of us. And it is a really tough time. You know, when I first got elected, or when I was first running for Congress, I've told many of you this story. My grandmother, who is my political rabbi, she takes out this tattered black and white booklet, and it's run down, it's tattered, and the title says, "The Jews in Shanghai." And I did not know that piece of history. And I said, you know, what is this? And she says, you have to learn this history. She says, our people are bonded for life, and that this is one of the reasons that we have to be in Congress to protect the Jewish community and to make sure that our communities are working together. Now, my grandma she never went to high school, college, never ran for office. She didn't know the demographics of my congressional district, but this is the first thing that she said to me and that she showed me. And never would I have thought that we would be here where we are, having to work together and be united, as Shuni said, more than ever. We gather here today to celebrate Hanukkah with all of you, and it's always a great time and a happy time to come together as a community. But this year, it feels a lot more meaningful. The last time I saw some of you was on the evening of October 7th or October 8th, when I went to some of your shuls and cried with some of you. But in some of our shuls, because it was a holiday, because it was Simchat Torah, many congregants didn't yet know the full extent of what had happened in Israel that early morning. And so some of you I'm seeing again for the first time since about 50 some days ago. And I know it's been really difficult for all of you as you are leading your congregants and being there in so many ways, physically, spiritually, emotionally, for our constituents. As was mentioned, there are 137 hostages in Gaza and their families who won't be able to celebrate Hanukkah with them today and right now. And as Melinda said, and I talked about this with Melinda a lot, it's okay to express sympathy. It is okay to even disagree with how a government may make decisions. We do that with our own government here in the United States. But it is not okay to do it in a way that puts a target on the backs of any community, including the Jewish community. In many circles around this country, around the city, around the world, it has been trendy to become anti-Semitic. Is it really about the decisions of the Israeli government, or is it about the Jewish people? Because the lines have been blurred very frequently in recent weeks. So we have seen this, unfortunately, even in our own borough of Queens. You know, the anti-Semitism that is rising within our schools, from high schools to colleges all around the country. And as we've seen in places as recently as Hillcrest, that's why it's important to speak up when it's just graffiti, when it's just something being drawn on the wall or something muttered by someone else. Because we need to educate and we need to make sure that people understand that it could, like in Hillcrest, turn into something else. But gathering together, you know, this year was tough to plan emotionally, right? To attend these events. But I think it's more important now than ever before. Hanukkah tells us a story of the Jewish people coming together on their own to fight back against an invading force. And as Israel defends itself against terror, and as the world faces horrifying instances of anti-Semitism, I just want to say that you are not alone. We saw what happened, we witnessed what happened, we believe you. You are not alone, you will not be abandoned, and you will not be neglected. Everyone in this room is committed to standing with the Jewish community. And we have seen, even in a diverse borough like Queens, there are a lot more conversations that need to be had. Because I say this as a friend and an ally and someone who is not Jewish, in the days after the October 7th attack, I've had conversations with many of people my age and in my circles explaining that, yes, Hamas are terrorists. And at the same time, not all Palestinians are terrorists. These are things that we have had to say and to talk to out of love and allyship to each other. And we will continue to work to build these bridges, because sometimes in a diverse city like New York, we do get comfortable in our own silos. Last week, the House unanimously passed a resolution demanding Hamas to immediately release all hostages taken. And that speaks to the deep bipartisan support for Israel's people in Congress. Israel has the right to exist. People, I've had young kids tell me that they are scared to wear their yarmulke, or they are scared to wear their jewelry that may have the Star of David, or to show any symbol that they are Jewish. That is not okay, whether you're Jewish, whether you are of any background in this city, to be scared, to be proud of who you are. So we will continue to fight against anti-Semitism, against discrimination, against all. I will say, as an Asian American, in the past few years, when there was a rise of hate and discrimination against our Asian American community, it was many in the Jewish community here and around the country that reached out to me and asked how they could help. They literally helped me write legislation like the COVID-19 Hate Crimes Act, and talked about the importance of reporting and data and statistics and education. So we've been working together strongly for the past few years, and we will continue to do so. So thank you everyone for being here today. I was sitting in the corner with our surprise VIP guest, who you'll see in a little bit. But thanks for taking the time again, and Chag Sameach.
Thank you, Congresswoman. At this time, we have a special presentation. We have the Bukharian Boys Choir under the leadership of the choir director, Isaac Haimah, and they're going to sing some Hanukkah songs if you could please give them your attention. Thank you.
Ready? Can we use mic?
Thank you very much. I want to just introduce one more time. This is the Jewish Boys Choir from the Queens, Atzida. This is only part, small part of the whole entire choir, because others are still in the school. They're learning.
Thank you for the Bafang Boys Choir. Thank you, Mr. Heinoff. They were great, they were wonderful. Let's have a great round of applause for these young guys who came here. So, moving on, we have a number of nonprofits here. There are government partners, as we can call them. I'm going to have a few of them speak, but we want to acknowledge a few of our friends. I want to just acknowledge Rabbi Michael Miller and Jason Capel from APAC is here. I would like to, at this point,
great round of applause for that amazing choir. And look how dapper they are. So good looking. They're available for shidduchim in approximately 6 to 7 years, so it's not too early to speak to the choir coordinator. It is really a tremendous day, over here. You know, Rabbi Pollack decided that I should be the one to get in trouble. He said, David, if you see elected officials, you should acknowledge them so that way nobody yells at him. I will say, first of all, Grace Meng throws the best parties. Where are you, Grace, Congress member? Best parties ever. Thank you so much. I brought my 2 sons, and they said it was the largest variety of donuts they've ever had. So they're really very excited. Thank you, Shimmy Pellman, for that. Thank you, Shimmy. I have to tell you, Rabbi Pollack is a tremendous leader. You know he's a great man because he's Aaron Sipperstein's chavrusa. And Aaron is my right-hand man, and they learn every single morning. And that's how you know he's a real Talmud Chacham. Of course, I want to thank the district attorney and the borough president, and of course everyone's favorite prosecutor. I know it sounds complicated, but you can have a favorite prosecutor in Melinda Katz. But I see so many friends that I'm doing the service for Rabbi Pollack. Is Andy Hevesy still here? Chair Hevesy? He was here. Okay. We have Manhattan Chair Julie Menon, who's in the house as well. I want to thank you so much. We have from Brooklyn, no bridges but lots of traffic, Chair Yeager. Thank you so much. It's good to see you, Chair. Hey. Assembly Member Sam Berger. He's new, but he has a robust beard, so he looks like he's 40, so thank you for that. Our favorite council members, Linda Lee and Sandra Ung and Lynn Shulman, who are here as well. Our Chair Weprin, our favorite former council member, Barry Grodenchik, and our favorite former assembly member, Dan Rosenthal, is here with his family as well. I just want to say one thing. And then I'll leave you for the rest of the entertainment. It is at times like these when we see who our friends are. And I have to tell you, it has been a very jarring time for the Jewish people the last 8 weeks. A lot of the people that we thought were our friends, not only not our friends, they're actually our enemies. It's kind of shocking when you work with someone for years to discover that somebody that you thought was your friend is not your friend, but is your enemy. A lot of people who we thought are friends, they're Milky Toast friends. They're their wishy-washy friends. Sometimes they're with us, sometimes they're not with us. And then you have a category, a few people, as we say, Yechidei Segula, a few people who are extraordinary people who say, look, I know it's not popular, I know it's not going to make me famous on Twitter or Instagram, but I know what's right and I know what's wrong, and I'm going to stick by my friends. One of the few people in America, folks, it's a big country. There's over 300 million people, there's 535 members of Congress. One of the people in America who on one hand we can count, who has stood with us day in, day out, in public, in private, helping us, advising us, guiding us, and standing with the Jewish community in Israel has been our Congress member, Grace Meng. And I just want to say this, and this is not just for Grace, but it's for the other officials in the room. We are overwhelmed. It is overwhelming to be a Jewish American leader today, like every single person in this room is a leader. We're overwhelmed, we really are. But I promise you, we will never forget your friendship. We may not remember today or tomorrow because we're overwhelmed. But when the chips are down, and like in the past, when you've needed us, I promise you, we'll be there for you, we'll be there for all of you, because we are grateful for your leadership. And so from the bottom of my heart, I can tell you, I have the privilege of knowing many Congress members, many elected officials. There's nobody who's more sincere about her support of the Jewish community and Israel. We have no better friend than Congress member Grace Meng. We appreciate you, we admire you, we respect you, and we love you, and we give you a blessing that your grace, which we call chen, your grace should continue and should take you to the highest levels. Thank you so much.
Thank you, David. I also want to just acknowledge Seth Goodstein, who's from CSI, part of JCRC. At this time, I'd like to call upon Mr. Ben Golub, who's the president of the JCRC, to give a greeting.
Thank you. My name is Ben Galb. I'm the president of the JCRC of New York. It's a pleasure to be here tonight, today. And Congress Member Meng, thank you so much for bringing us all together to celebrate the upcoming Chanukah holiday. And we want to acknowledge Daniel Pollack and as my friend JCRC member Shimmy Hellman for making the space available to us. Thank you so much. It's beautiful. I'm supposed to be brief and greet you and say goodbye, but in clear conscience I can't say that. Chanukah is more than an opportunity for us to gorge ourselves with latkes and to watch the kids rip open their presents. Chanukah is a commemoration of bravery, a celebration of bravery, a festival whose bright lights cut through the darkness and oppression, bigotry, and ignorance. In the massively diverse New York community that we live in, the JCRC works relentlessly to help fight ignorance and bigotry. We seek to bring people together. We try to bridge many communities together. And we want to emphasize what we have in common and what we all share together. The Maccabees had to fight bravely to obtain our freedom to be Jews. But there are other forms of bravery as well. The bravery that lets a leader withstand the slings and arrows of anti-Semitic and anti-Zionist bigots who constantly post on social media. A leader who stands with her community when hate-filled protesters gather at her door. And a leader who rises on the floor of the United States Congress to condemn the murderous, barbarous fanatics of Hamas when other in the government refuse to do so. Grace Meng has this bravery, this inner fortitude, this courage to lead and the compassion to empathize. I am so proud to be with her and celebrate both forms of bravery today. On behalf of the Jewish Community Relations Council of New York, thank you and Chag Sameach.
We're going to have two quick greetings. I'm going to call upon Daniel Rosenthal, who's the government relations at the JCRC, UJA Federation. Sorry, former assemblyman. Daniel.
You just can't get rid of me, come on. First and foremost, I want to thank Grace for my daughter stole about like 10 pieces of gelt, so we're gonna have a great car ride back. Now is a time where being our friend, quite frankly, and being our ally is difficult. Being an elected official right now, if you support Israel, if you stand with the Jewish community, even if you just stand up against anti-Semitism, you look at your phone, you look at your Twitter feed, and you're being called all sorts of crazy things. They're protesting your offices. They are threatening you. They're cornering you in corners of hallways. It's really just terrible what they're doing. And right now, we've seen what our friends are doing. It's really important to show gratitude and show karas hatov to our allies. Grace said she's not Jewish before, but she's mishpacha, and we are really grateful for everything she's done for the community. And now it's more important than ever to show up and even have your friends call our office and say thank you, because they are getting, her staff is definitely getting abused on the phones right now as well. Thank you.
I'm going to call upon a very old dear friend, one of the leaders in AIPAC, somebody we've dealt with for many, many years, good friend of Grace, good friend of our team, Mr. Jason Capel.
I'd like to say long-time friend, not necessarily old, but I am. But my beard is turning into yours a little bit. So the last reception that I was at, hosted by Grace Meng, it was 84 degrees. It was poolside out in Puerto Rico. So this weather, although it's lovely, but no, it's really a great pleasure to be here because Grace is a champion amongst champions. She's a champion of champions of the U.S.-Israel relationship, of the Jewish community. You know, we are living now in a defining moment for anybody with a moral compass, to put it simple. And Grace stands tall and strong and vocal, and she, as others have said, is a friend during challenging times, right? That's when you know when you have friends. During the easy times, it's very easy to be a friend, but it's during those challenging times when that friendship you see as a real friendship, because it's not something that she does politically, it's something that she does because it is deep in her heart. She has that moral compass. She believes in doing the right thing. And she works with her colleagues, and I speak to many members of Congress on a regular basis, my position at AIPAC, and she stands amongst that top tier of folks who really in their heart understand what it means to be a friend of the community and a friend to the state of Israel and doing what's right in general. So it is my honor to be here today, and this is something that I don't miss, and this is the beginning of the holiday season because Grace's Hanukkah reception is always first. But I'm also happy because it's actually the one that's not on Hanukkah, so I can actually spend time with my family on Hanukkah. So thank you again. Thank you for allowing me to say a few words. And Grace, thank you so much for being that champion that you are.
Thank you, Jason. We're going to be wrapping up. We want to call upon one of our local members of our city council from Queens, Lynn Schulman.
Head of the Jewish delegation.
I'm not head of the Jewish delegation, but I'm the only Jewish delegation in Queens. How's that? I'm the only Jewish council member in Queens, but I asked Grace if I could come up because I can say some stuff that she can't. One is that I want to say when a couple of days after the attack on October 7th, there was a press conference in Kew Garden Sales, a rally about what had happened. And what I said and some other people said at the time was that it was going to get hard. It was going to get harder as we move forward, as things happen, that there were going to be elected officials who were supporting us the day of that event that weren't going to maybe peel off at some point because the pressure was going to get too much. And that has happened. It's not unexpected, it's sad, but that has happened. But Grace has been stalwart in her commitment to the Jewish community. She and I have been texting, and I am very protective of her. She's gonna have a race, guys. She's gonna have a race next year, and we have to all be there for her.
She's gonna win.
We have to be there for her. We have to help her. And I want to tell you, she didn't mention this when she spoke, but there were, other than people from the Jewish community, there were members of the Thai community that were held hostage. There was a Filipino who was held hostage. People don't mention that, and that's really important. I was there was somebody here who's the president of the Filipino Democratic Club of New York, who was here before, Enzo Manzano, who had an event the other night. And when I went, people were telling me how good Israel has been to the Filipino community. And that's so important. Like Israel gives and the people give and everything else. And we have to, like I said, I am steadfast in this. I get a little bit of pressure, but Grace gets a lot of pressure, folks. She gets a lot of protesters at her place. She has people that are targeting her on social media. We have to be there for her. All right, so I'm going to reiterate that. I want to thank, and by the way, what's interesting about all of this is that a lot of us, and Grace and others mentioned, there are secular and religious that have come together as one. And I want to thank everybody here. I want to thank Shimmy and the Pellman family who've been such big supporters of mine, Kalman Yeager, David Greenfield, who's been so amazing and is a mentor to me because he used to be in the city council. Not that I don't know that he wants to admit that today, but and Julie Menon came, another member. By the way, the Jewish caucus is all of 6 people. It's only going to be 5 next year because of the elections. So there's not a lot of us. We're trying really, really hard to make sure that we stand by Israel. And to Grace's point, it doesn't mean that we feel that we wish bad for anybody else, that you can be for Israel and also have humanity for other folks. but what you can't do is target the Jewish community. Do you know that when I see what's going on around the city, that if I want to go shopping in Midtown or anything else, I have to think twice about it because I'm Jewish? I mean, I shouldn't have to do that. Should not have to do that. So I want to thank everybody here, and we're all one big happy family. And I want to thank Grace. And by the way, I was with Grace from the minute she decided to run for Congress. And I am a big supporter of hers, and now I'm going to be even a bigger supporter. I've already spoken to some of you and to some other folks about helping her next year, because she can't just win, she has to win big, because we have to show everyone what she's about, and that we're the ones that are going to make sure that standing for Israel is a good thing. Thank you.
Okay, just want to wrap it up. We have one more person. Just want to acknowledge Michael Combs and Simon Wiesenthal. We'd like to acknowledge Robert Zimmerman, the Democrat committee, and Catherine, who's here from Great Neck, former Senator. Rhonda Binda is here, one of our district leaders. Again, I see a few people still left. We have some rabbis here. Thank you for all coming. We want to call upon an old friend again, Mr. Kalman Yeager, who's from Borough Park. And he certainly has been at the forefront of fighting for the Jewish community. Kalman?
Sitting next to David Greenfield, and he told me, just get up and say, I love Grace, go back and sit down. Which is very easy to do. I didn't need David to tell me that. He's right. You get to the part of the program where everything's been said, but not everybody said it, and then the last guy shows up, and now he has to repeat everything. But too bad I have the microphone, you don't. So for the captive audience. I too know Grace for a very long time. Longer than, she's doing it's longer than a lot of people in this room, maybe longer than most in this room. And we're friends, and legitimate friends. And what you see from her and standing up for the Jewish people, like David spoke about, and like so many others, is legit. It's lishma, it comes from the heart. She really does mean it. This is who she is. The story that she tells about her grandmother's book, talking about the Jewish people of Shanghai. My grandfather was one of those Jewish people of Shanghai. And the district that I represent and that David used to represent had a very large Asian American part of it that took that away from me, unfortunately, this year, but I still love them, and they're a wonderful part of our community, and whenever I would speak to them, I always tell them how connected we are. Because if it wasn't for the generosity of people who live in China, somebody else would be standing here. And that's true throughout my time in life, that's true today. And what you have seen in the hatred, and I'm going to talk about anti-Semitism, but just the hatred that we've shared as a community, why should we be so lucky to have a bond of that? We're such good friends because people hate us both. But that's really what we've seen. The last 3, 4, 5 years of anti-Asian, vicious, vile anti-Asian hatred in New York, vicious, vile anti-Semitism. And a lot of what we hear about lately, and Senator Schumer gave an amazing speech. If you haven't seen it, see it, watch it, read it. If you have, watch it and see it again. He gave an incredible speech. But one of the things that so many of us are talking about is this unleashing of anti-Semitism, this hiking of anti-Semitism, this increasing of anti-Semitism. And it's not really the best way to describe it. It's an unmasking of anti-Semitism. It's an anti-Semitism that's already there, but societally, people have decided now's the time to show it, and they're getting a free pass to do it. By too many people in public office, people that Grace serves with in her house, people that I serve with in my house, people that Sam Berger serves with in his house, the Hamas caucuses of our various legislative chambers. Grace has the Congressional Hamas Caucus. I have one in the City Council. There's one in the state legislature. They don't like when you say that because they don't want to be called out for what they are. But there are members in Queens in the state legislature who are vicious, vile anti-Semites. They're proud of it. They don't like to be called anti-Semites, but they're proud of it. in what they say and what they do and what they think about us. So when you have a leader like Grace Meng, who truly doesn't have to, she could check the box. I live in Brooklyn. I know what it means to be a member of Congress who checks the box. I live with them. She could check a box, you know, show up, light a menorah, you know, wish, you know, Happy New Year in September and have a great day. She doesn't do that. She lives 365 days a year to stand up for our community. It is absolutely true. And I'm not a constituent of hers, but I will tell you that on Shabbos, Shmini Atzeres, and Sunday, when I wasn't looking at my phones and the information was starting to trickle in because, you know, the custodian of a shul or a neighbor next door or somebody else would tell you something, and you don't really have a lot of information. And at one point on Sunday, on Shabbos afternoon, Shmini Atzeres, at about 1 or 2 o'clock, somebody told me there was an attack in Israel, 100 people were killed. I said, wow, 100 people, I don't believe that. That's crazy. Boy, do we wish that that was the number. But when I started checking my phone, Matzi Yontif, my first text was Grace Meng. She was there. She asked me. She knows I have family there, and she wanted to know how I'm doing. Is everything okay? That's who she is, and not just to somebody who she knows, but throughout her community. She traveled around on Shabbos and Yontif to visit shuls, to talk to people who she knew didn't have all the information. Maybe they had a little bit, to tell them not just that the Shabbos Goy is here, because that's so easy to do, and I'll tell you later if you don't know what that is. But to tell them that you are represented by a member of Congress who cares, who you are part of her family. So I love you very much for everything that you're doing, for your friendship, for standing up for our community in ways that we could never repay, but we will always try. And to everything that Lynn said, 100%, we're always going to be there for her. Grace is an incredible leader. We need her to remain in Congress, and especially now more than ever, this Congress needs leaders like Grace Meng. So for everybody who's leaving here today, you know, it's a little bit before Hanukkah, but you know, what we'll see over the next couple of weeks is so many people telling us Happy Hanukkah, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Hanukkah. Just remind them, Hanukkah is the ultimate of Zionist holidays. So if they don't stand with us on our right to live, our right, you know, in America we have the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Hanukkah literally celebrates the victory of people who all they wanted was life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. So if they don't celebrate with us every single day, the other 365 days, tell them to say their Hanukkah wishes. But for the rest of you, Freilich Hanukkah, Chag Sameach, and thank you very much.
I just want to call out our great staff on behalf of Grace. We have here Aaron, Jonathan, Maria, Taylor, Jordan. Thank you so much for helping put together. It was our pleasure having all of you here. We still have food left over. We hope you will take some food home.